Today I want to talk about Tyreke Johnson, who has entered the transfer portal, and all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, I want to talk about Tyreke Johnson hitting the transfer portal. I also want to tell you that I am test driving new software, new war rig. We are on Premiere Pro, so if you see some things that feel a little bit different, that give you a little bit of anxiety as you look at the screen and watch me, or look at the microphone or hear the sound, know that we're all working through this. But some of y'all come up watching me do this on a piece of cardio equipment and holding my phone in front of my face. Some of you even remember here recently of me not actually remembering to turn on the microphone when I speak. But you know that I'm a DIY guy. I taught myself how to do all of this, and we're doing that once again. Hopefully for the last time, because going from Final Cut to Premiere is its own thing. Now that I'm done doing the thing that we all hate YouTubers do, which is talk about the stuff that ain't in the headline, let's talk about the stuff that is in the headline. So Tyreke Johnson enters the transfer portal, and this is a dude who, at the time of his signing, was the number 2 safety in the country in 2018 class, a 5-star recruit, number 21 nationally, and was wanting to follow in the footsteps of at least one Trinity Christian product in Florida. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but that's Shaun Wade. Of course, Marcus Crowley also comes from down there, and you know what kind of player this dude was going to be for them, because he was supposed to be next, right? Especially when Cam Brown went down with his Achilles injury. We thought that he would slide in, cross some 7 banks, give them not just some much needed cover at that cornerback spot, but maybe elevate it. And that just wasn't what happened. He had 4 tackles against Rutgers, but that's not saying a whole hell of a lot. And he didn't really play a lot of football after that. Some of this, I think, is because the deck is just that stacked at Ohio State, and has been for at least the last 3 years. Jeff Okudah, Damon Arnett both get drafted in the first round of the 2019 NFL draft. Shaun Wade at least went into the season looking like a first-round cornerback and was getting a lot of name recognition and plug, and he was the best cornerback that they had. People are going back and forth on 7 banks. I think he's going to be pretty good. But also in there, you got to remember, you had dudes that could play, I thought, last year, but didn't. Like Ryan Watts, who I expect is probably going to get a nod to start here. We'll see how that goes. But they also brought in a bunch of kids that they really like. I like Denzel Burke. We'll see where he fits in for them. But I'm not surprised at Johnson going into the portal. I also know that he's really wanting to come out in year 3, right? And this is obviously year 3. Now, where he ends up is also an open question. I mean, I think everybody's going to point to Florida right away because it's just not that far from where he was playing high school football. And his brother is DeAndre Johnson, who set records as a quarterback, and we all know how it ended up going for him. Records as a quarterback in high school. But he's got great pedigree. I think he's got all the tools that you want, and I think that he's going to show up somewhere and provide them a lot of help at the cornerback position. Now, behind or in front, depending on how you want to look at it, Tyreke Johnson. I mentioned Ryan Watts, and I mentioned Denzel Burke. Cam Martinez is also coming back. So, coming back. He's a true freshman. Cam Brown is the dude that tore his Achilles. But yes, lots of Cams going on over. Man, I think they had a Cam last year. Oh, Cameron Babb, right, playing wide receiver. So there's a lot of moving and shaking at Ohio State. And, are they going to hurt for this? No. But I hurt for Tyreke because I always want the kids to have a good time. I want them to succeed. I want them to go in the draft after 3 years. It ain't working out for him. And I think if you're an Ohio State fan, you understand this. And, I mean, you can talk about it from a positive standpoint. It's okay, right? You don't actually have to dog a dude because he goes into the portal and he decides that he wants to try something else. That said, outside of Florida, some places that I think off the top of my head he might fit in, Washington, right? I know they just got Buki, Brendan Radley-Howes, who might play some slot for them, some slot corner, but Washington has had a really great track record of turning out top cornerbacks. Another place that he might look would be perhaps Texas, right? We'll see what Pete Kwiatkowski has to say, if anything, about that, because, again, it's not necessarily betting on Texas and its development of corners and safeties. is betting on Pete Kwiatkowski in year one. Because Caden Stearns was, an outstanding prospect coming out of high school. His 5th-round draft pick to the Denver Broncos. Shout out to him, though. He signed a contract worth, I think, 7 figures with like a $330,000 signing bonus. So, I mean, it ain't like it's a complete wash, man. I mean, it ain't first-round money, but it's still life-changing money to the rest of us. And then you can look around at the Big Ten if you wanted to, but I doubt that he stays in the conference. You could also look at the ACC. Perhaps he slides into where DeAndre Kendrick was for Clemson. There's some spots out there for him, I guess, is what I'm getting at here. And he's going to have options as a 5-star transfer in the portal. That said, he's one of over 1,900 dudes in the transfer portal, according to 247 Sports. And that number is only getting larger, and we're seeing the portal is doing robust business. Matter of fact, you hear stories all the time about kids being recruited into the portal, and then they make their decisions, it seems like, almost immediately once they get there. Some dudes sit there and languish for a while. I don't think Tyreke Johnson's going to be a guy that sits there and languishes for a while. I think the thing that's going to make Ohio State fans upset, if at all, right, is that he did this after spring ball ended, which is another way of saying I want to make sure I know what I know, but I also want to give myself the best opportunity to land in a good spot. And that's post-spring ball, right? Just before spring ball, perhaps, but definitely post-spring ball if you can find a spot, especially as a 5-star guy. You're also going in the summer thinking you got your roster set if you're a coach, and that's just not true. But the way that the eligibility rule is set up for the one-time transfer without having to sit, you can do this all the way up until July 1. So I expect to see more of this, and I expect to get to be quick, fast, and in a hurry come the last week of June going into July 1. And then after July 1, you got your roster if you're a coach and you know what you're going to have to work with going into camp, who you have to protect, who you don't have to protect. Is one of the reasons why we see like nobody of, like great importance playing in a spring game, because the last thing you want to do is lose, say, throwing out a name here because he made it through spring ball, Sam Howell to an ACL. You're just not wanting to do that. You're trying to get through those 15 practices intact, and you're trying to get your kids graduated if that's what they're doing, get them set up for summer school, get them situated with their strength coaches, and you go back to recruiting up until media days, and then you got a little bit more recruiting, and then you can go into camp. So I understand it. I'm sure that Kerry Combs would like to have him if at all possible. I also get it from everybody's side. Like, you got to be better than the guys up front, and if you're not better than the guys up front, what Mac Jones, what Mac Brown said on the number 1 ranked show, I think is important here. He said, look, if it's not working out for you, or you think that you're better than the guy that we have ahead of you, okay, we'll talk about it. Let's have that uncomfortable conversation. And if we come to you got to go, then I want to help you get where you're going. And I think that you're going to see more flies landed with that sort of honey in the future, because the days of yelling at a kid to stay in school at the place he's at, I think are over. Now, if you got the kind of parents that Bob Stoops had when he was thinking of, just thinking about transferring from Iowa, maybe you don't have that opportunity. But a lot of parents aren't wired that way. They want to see their kids get everything that they want and more. And everybody's style of parenting is a little bit different. And I'm not here to litigate anybody's parenting. I am here to say that there are different strokes for different folks. And respecting that is a big part of being a human being, because this is Earth and we're all trying to make our way through it, just like Tyreke Johnson, who is going to be fine. A 5-star defensive back in the portal who can play corner and safety. Yeah, he's going to be fine. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.